So next. Okay, so how does acupuncture differ from modern medicine? Acupuncture is closely related to physics rather than biomedicine. Okay, the importance is relativity, temperature, timing, and pressure. Okay, so these are more advanced concepts. So we call this the 8 diagnostic tools. We look at, is this a yin syndrome, yang syndrome? Is it exterior or interior? That's 表里, so that's also relativity. Is this deficient or excess? Is this cold or hot? Okay. Now, we have acupuncture 101. It's another talk. We're going to go talk about this. But for now, just know that, hey, you know what? This has to do with physics. What's physics? So first, let's see, what is not physics? Who knows what this is? This is the Latin phrase, means assuming all else stayed the same, assuming everything is equal. Okay, modern science is excelled and built by block from this phrase, is that we're going to observe, we're going to ignore everything else. We're just going to focus on, assuming everything else is the same, how is this going to interact with that? Okay, but what is the truth? The change is the only constant. In life, everything is changing, right? The fact that you came in here today and you're leaving here, you will actually be a different person than the person that you came in, because this much changed. But from this much, there will be a ripple effect into the future. And then each thing that compound with people you meet, preferences you set, right? Your path is going to be different. So first, let's talk about time here. You get a bonus, by the way, from the start of this clip to the end. You tell me how many years it's been from here. Who knows? But by the way, what is this? Who doesn't know what this is?
That's the planet moving around the sun.
This is the sun, okay? These are all the planets that rotate around the sun. The Earth is the third one from the sun. If you count the third little circle that rotates around the sun, it's about 7 years in this flash of a second. And who knows if the sun is actually going straight? The sun might actually be curving. Now, those of you that are spiritual and believe in God, hey, you know what? This is already confirmed that maybe God also created this too, right? So this doesn't contradict with your religion. Because whether it's your belief is by creation or by default, this could be created or not. So at this rate, you still have that question. But what it is you have your own right to be entitled to the truth, right? So then, yeah, so this is that. Let's go. So this is time in years. And we're just years of measurement. Who knows what this is? When you go to a Chinese restaurant, right, you see this. So what is this ancient mystery? What is this? So then we measure each year, right, in units of 12. Why in units of 12? Who knows?
There's 12 houses in the zodiac.
Yup. Why is there also 12 months, right? Right. Correct. So back in the day when there's no technology, people at home, what they do, they journal. Okay. This day, there was this happened, and I feel like I have a pain in my knee. Interesting. So they keep records of that, and then hey, we record again at this day again. So in a count of 12. And this year again, another 12 year, in the third month, I had the pain, my daughter had the pain on her knee. I wonder why that is. Oh, my niece also had the knee as well, the pain there. So where I'm leading at is that you guessed it right. Your pain and how you feel actually has to do with the time and space that you're in. Okay? Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, is this like astrology? Does it have to do with like something have to do with that? So the answer is actually yes, because astrology has only been deviated from medicine in the recent years is that the time you were born doesn't matter. Remember, ceteris paribus, which assuming everything else is equal. But let me ask you a question, right? So if you plant a seed into the floor, into the ground, in the soil, right? If you plant it, would it be the same if you plant it in April versus planting in May versus planting in September? Right? Why is that?
Because of climate.
Time, right? So how would it be the same if I was born this versus that time? It wouldn't be the same. When a child first opened their eyes, if their first experience is summer, it's going to be different than a child that first experienced life when it's cold. So all these affects into your feelings, affects how you look at life, affects then all the decisions you make thereforth, right? So then we also then talk about prenatal and postnatal, by the way. Oh, by the way, if you're able to complete the handout, you get a prize. I'll tell you what the prize is later. Depends on how many people complete the handout, okay? All right, so just go through this. So this is the Chinese seasons. So there are 4 seasons in a year, right? Or does the weather only change 4 times? No, right? Especially in Michigan. But so assuming before global warming happened, there's actually 24 seasons. Because to get something very close, right, to be something more precise, you need to be a little bit more precise in your precision to measure. So then every little change means something. This is the Chinese calendar because Chinese was an agricultural society. So they measure. So in the green, this is spring. In here is, right, between this is where you need a plant. And over here, this, it's summer. See, red is summer, right? By the time you get here is when on June 5th, you can count on, if you go to Walmart or Myers, all the plants are half off. You know why? Because by then, the earth is already done with planting. Spring has already passed. Right? So that's plants. Now we're humans, we're different. So just to tell you that all these seasons have been marked and each season has its own use. But this is just an overview snapshot. So if this is a little too much for you, don't worry. We're talking about digestion. But acupuncture is a holistic study, so you can't talk about one thing without talking about everything first. So this is the English version of it, right? Different days, different years. Okay? So what it means, right? So look. This is grain, right? Pure brightness, these different things. Different season, you do what? And over here, see, when you have white dew, this is when the frost then start to come, right? Autumn, frost descent, beginning of winter, so on and so forth, okay? Each day has a different elemental energy.
So what prompts an Indian summer that we just are going through?
That's just global warming. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, and Indian summer isn't technically, I had a friend tell me, I used to always say Indian summer, but Indian summer is technically, they called it was a really warm day in November, like late November, where it was unusually warm and the Indians, I think, attacked. But if you look it up, it's not, I always used to think it was like October, but it's not.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would have been Indian summers anytime you have unusually warm weather after a frost.
Okay.
So let's actually talk about that really quick. There's a saying goes, if your winter is not cold, don't be so happy yet. That means the next year you'll be short on harvest. The meaning is this: who has a basement here? You know, if you have a basement, you've been to somebody's basement, you know, in the winter time, the basement is magically warm. In the summertime, basement is magically cold. Cave divers know this. They only cave dive when it's cold outside. So the cave is warm. Why is that? Because how it is that this is the exterior, interior, is that when it's summertime, right, when it's hot out, all the energy is outside of you. Your inside is actually cold. When it's cold out in the wintertime, because you've survived this long, okay, all the energy now becomes inside, so you're actually hot inside. It's supposed to be cold now. If the heat is not supposed to come in, the heat is still out, that means that this soil, the chi of the soil next year will be crappy. That means there's no chi, there's no growth. We will not have a good, plentiful harvest next year.
Because of this warm weather?
Because the weather is supposed to retract. That means that if the weather is not retracting in, that means that the next year, the heat is going to retract when the heat is supposed to go out, so that the plant won't grow, the plant is going to shrink. Okay. Time and hours. During the day, there's different elemental energies. Okay. So this is a simple yin and yang. Okay. So everything has yin and yang. What you're seeing here is actually a whole series of 1 and zeros. A lot of people think, oh, this is like thousands of years old. Right now we have technology. We're sending a man to the moon. How do you say this still applies? It still applies. What you're looking at here is a series of 1 and zeros. The computer figures out it's this, but it's not that. So this is 1 here, 0 there. And then between this 1, then the next section, is it a 1 or a 0? So then they keep saying what it is, what is not. Okay, the next step, then is this it or not? So then it comes down to something. So what you're seeing here is particles of 1s and 0s. So yin and yang applies in all things. Also martial arts too. Okay? With different days, okay, let's hear right here. You see how your body temperature here, it's tend to be hotter, right? At night, and your temperature is supposed to be colder during the day. Why is that? It's the same thing. Each day there is the summer and there is winter. Okay? What's nighttime in the 4 seasons? 1 second.
How is someone's health affected when the circadian rhythm is backwards?
That means their temperature is going to be backwards. Then they're not going to be having a good time. Yeah, I don't want to. I know because I know he's working night shifts. So later we'll tell you night shift is not a good thing. They must be paying you a lot more, not just time and a half. Okay. Because you have to come pay me for acupuncture. So this is how many years? So he already established 7 years. Okay, what is chi? Who wants to read this real quick for the class?
I will.
Okay, Christina.
You see chi?
Mm-hmm.
Chi, also chi or chi, is believed to be a vital force forming part of any living entity, literally meaning vapor, air, or breath. The word chi is often translated as vital energy, vital force, material energy, or simply as energy.
Thank you. We're going to go over it after with these couple slides. Okay, these are the functions of chi. I'm going to put it in layman terms. So number 1 is actualization, but this is more like starting a car, like getting something started. Okay, so if you have no chi, if you're a car, you have a hard time to get started in the day. You have hard time waking up. You have a hard time starting a task. You have a hard time initiating. Like if I see Mark right now, I see him, I want to talk to him, he looks interesting. I have a hard time starting. Right, that's one action. Okay. Second one is what? Warming. If you have low chi, you start getting cold. So if you don't believe that, try not sleeping well, try overexerting yourself, and you do that for a couple hours, a couple days, your body will start getting cold. You start moving slower. Also, chi is for defense. So we have the rallies, there's a political argument. Oh, COVID's real. No, COVID's not real, right? If you have really good chi, you wouldn't get sick. We all know someone who doesn't get sick, right? And we all know somebody who Every season they get sick a couple of times. If there's a disease, they're gonna catch it, right? We all know that person. So we're not the same. First, we need to acknowledge that. So you have really strong chi, you don't get sick. Doesn't mean the disease doesn't exist, it just doesn't affect you. Good for you, right? So everybody needs to learn what you're doing. Okay? I mean, if you always get sick, yeah, then these people need to be tender care for. We can't just say that you're wrong, you know? This is kind of common sense. And also containment. So chi can hold on to something. So if I'm weak, like if I'm holding 5 gallons of milk in my arms, I can only hold it for so long, right? So if if I'm weak, then, I just drop it. Right? Same thing here. Containment of fluids, containment of blood, sweat, urine, preventing your body from leakage. So who knows that older folks, they start to tear, right? Or they start to drool. That means that their chi is very low. So then later we find actually when death is caused by no more chi, because chi is life. Next, transformation. Who here knows somebody that drinks a lot of water, but then it seems like this, I'm still thirsty. It doesn't matter how much water I drink. I still feel dry. I'm still stiff. Because you have no chi. You can't transform food or fluid. Like if somebody's tired, for example, and you're hungry, and you're hangry, right? After a while, actually, if you overdo it, then you're not even hungry anymore. You're not even hangry anymore. You don't want to do anything anymore. You lost your appetite because you have severely impacted your chi. And then if you have a deadline, you keep going, then that what we call a chi crash. Then you can't recover. That's why people have this chronic sickness, and then they come in to get acupuncture to feel like, wow, I haven't felt this way for a long time. That's why. And then when you sleep and get some rest, you wake up, you start feeling angry. That means that you're still needing the energy. You're still not having it. So then there's different steps, right? Now, what else is chi? Some people might think this is kind of a stretch. Wow, what does that have to do with your body? So martial artists know different energy channels in the body converts to different elements. Different planets nearby Earth from the sun is also different elements. So, for example, Mars is fire element. So it's the small intestine and heart. Saturn is earth, right? So stomach and spleen. Okay? This is long and large intestine. This was water. So when they say Mercury retrograde, you know that you got to look out for your kidney and your bladder. Someone has a bladder issue or whatever, the Mercury, something is happening to Mercury. You don't need to be an expert in astrology. Then you know water elements impacted, your water channels are impacted, for your water organs then begin impacted. Okay? So, and what is the goal of all this? The goal of all this is not a popular one, because modern influence is you should seek glory instead of sustainability. That is something that in a free country you have to choose, right? So like Steve Jobs, for example, he was a great man. Like he made iPhone. I like this device personally. Right? But then he died early. Right? He died at 50 something. But he was able to accomplish that. So you have to kind of weigh that out, right? How much you want to accomplish versus how much you're gonna want to burn your candle from both ends, right? So maybe a compromise. Hey, maybe I don't want to live 200 years, but I want to make something that's half as cool. Right? That's not bad, you know? So you gotta have to compromise. Next. Okay, what else is chi? Chi is also a behavior. If you get a grumpy scientist, you come in here, he must be like, this is all cat. This is a Tibby cat. They have all the names of cats, right? But this is one of my favorite memes here, is that, but if we are considering chi frequency, right? This is like a mean cat, right? This is like a CEO cat. This cat and this cat has different souls. Like, you know, these two cats are different, but they're both cats. So if you want to be strictly politically correct, saying no, you're not right. I mean, these are two same cats, they have the same genes. You do take them to the lab, they have the same blood test or different things. You can't test that because chi is how you feel. You can have a person that's super polite, saying all the right things, but you know something is off. Man, this person don't mean good. I can't feel the love, right? Even though they're saying all the good things, right? Or you're a comedian. It's like, I mean, this guy's cussing all over the place, but I like this person. Something like that. Right? So chi is something you have to feel. It's not something you see. And don't be fooled by what you see, too, by the way. Okay. All right. Can I have some water, please? Tap, thank you. So, when it comes to chi, there's two different aspects. Okay? One is prenatal, which is how you're born. This one we can't change. This is like your blood. I choose this picture so great. Maybe you can't see it so much, but this lady is biracial, so right? She carries the memories of, this African descent and Caucasian descent. So she has a lot of ancestral memories from all kinds of events, trauma, or glories from the past. After you're born, now you can choose habits or changes. You can change or not. Free country, right? You're going to see what do you want to do. So prenatal chi can't be changed. And the influence is internal, right? It's first you develop in your mother's womb, and in 40 weeks, you actually start life in your mother's belly. Your mother's sadness, her fears, her likes and appetites, you feel that when you're in the womb, yes.
So it cannot be changed by the baby, but it can be changed by parents, right?
Yeah. Or you can try the vaccine. I don't know. Who knows? Okay. That was a joke. I'm going to cut that out, all right? Yeah. Dr. Fauci has tracked me down. So then we get two parts here. We got the father's side gives you the chi. The mother's side gives you the building blocks. What that means is that if your father is somebody who is a carpenter, who's very hands-on, you're going to build everything really good, right? This kid is going to have a very easy time to learn that. And so I want to preface that with saying this is 80% true because nothing is 100% in life. If you're I'm 100% like my mother, nothing like my dad, there's always a exception with all the rules, right? There's always mutations too. But for the most part, this is why in the history, whatever culture you're from, the last name is always the man's last name. If you're a carpenter, right? Or if you're a smith, like you guys do metal smithing, right? If you're a carpenter, you do woodwork, okay? So the mother is the blood. So your health and general physique is typically like your mother's side of the family. So what else is this, right? Let's say I don't usually look at Instagram when I publish my things, and then you see all these ladies with really, well-endowed, robust body types, right? So that's really sexy, right? Because that resembles what? Health, right? So a man subconsciously knows that gene is good blood. I want that, right? And then what? A man, maybe they don't necessarily have to have the physique, right? It's this person is very smart, like yours truly, maybe, right? Tall, dark, and handsome. I got one of those, at least. So that, or you get this person's rich, right? So he has skills, okay? So those are kind of the things that people tend to attract to, right? So this is not something that's new. And then postnatal chi, you have a chance to change, okay? This is the influence of both internal and external, like what your habits are. Do you work a night shift, right? Your occupation, friends. or maybe step parent. This is not your biological, but somebody else that's always influencing you. Okay? Maybe you were born with your chi being fathered as a carpenter, but then your mother remarried as a businessman. So then later on, you have now your inherit of carpentry. Now you have an external influence of another blueprint that is more business, right? Something like that. This you have to cultivate. Let's see what your life brings. Okay, could be karma too. So, like we're talking about the energy and frequency. What is trust, anyways? Who wants to give it a shot? What's trust? What's something that you can trust? What comes to mind? Help me out here.
Morning, the sun coming up.
Yeah, why is that?
So far, it's been coming up.
Right.
Every day, like clockwork.
Very consistent, right?
Yeah.
So in order to know what's abnormal, we have to know what's normal. Your bowel movement's supposed to be like the sun, like clockwork. If your body is healthy, I get my bowel movement every morning at this time, at night, clockwork. Same consistency every time. A healthy person has that. Okay? This is why a lot of bus drivers, nurses, they have health issues, because when work demands, I can't walk off. A patient's doing a surgery. I can't keep my regular, right? So then what happens? They start to hurt their routine, right? Their internal, right? So that your digestion is the same as trust, because it's the same frequency. If you don't digest right, you can't trust. You have a very hard time doing that, because your body have already disrupted your frequency in that. Yes.
And is the converse true, that if you can't trust, that your digestion's gonna be hurt?
Correct. Correct. That's very correct. This is why virtues such as trust, kindness, love, this is not only, just nice. This is actually what a healthy person is. That's why human race lasts as long, because those that don't, they have died off at a certain point. Okay? So yeah, very good.
So how does one have a healthy digestion in the world that we can't trust?
So, good. We live in more than the world. We live in a universe.
Okay.
But I know what you're saying. Okay? Good. I would still try to trust, though, regardless, for your own health. That's just me, but But I agree. Okay? All right, so difference between chi and blood. What is chi and blood? Because we talk about chi, right? We don't talk about blood. So yin and yang. Chi is like the energy. Blood is actually physical. Okay? Okay. So chi is like dispersing. Right? The pictures I give is kind of like, right? It's like a masculine energy, a traditional masculine type energy, where they like, I gotta go to work. Okay, I am departing to war because I want to serve. I want to fight for this idea, right? Chi is kind of like I'm spending, right? It's like kind of like sales. I'm going out there networking, right? And the idea is to bring everyone eventually together, right? You're fighting for what? You're fighting for peace. You're not fighting just to make a point, right? I hope not. You're fighting for peace, right? So then, that's what chi is. This is why, right, the husband, you always see in the movies, go to war, I'm fighting a good purpose, but then the women always like, no, you're not going. What are you talking about? Because yin is blood, which is more like, remember the CEO cat? This is more like the nurse, right? This profession is kind of like, I don't care about the politics. I care about this person in front of me. This person needs help. I don't care about Iraq. I care about our family, right? So this is more like the nitty-gritty, each cell in your body. That's what blood is doing, is nourishing what's in front of me, right? This is more important to me, is this. I don't care about that. I just want this right here, right? Why can't you do this now? But then man would be more like, okay, no, yeah, this is part of everything else. So then there's that argument there, okay? All right, so you have choose security detail. Who would you choose, this guy or that guy?
They both look-
Both look pretty good, right?
But that guy looks
But
like
who
a
do you think
fighter.
is the better fighter?
Yeah, that guy.
Why is that?
He's got his fist balled up. He's in shape.
Yeah, he has more chi, right? This guy's probably gonna get tired faster than this guy.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're trying to do. If you have to move a lot, right? But then, so this guy will probably function better. So this is why a lot of people, let's say, if they're born with a very strong spleen, they can get there. This guy, his family probably doesn't have that strong a spleen. He can get there. It'll take him twice as long. This is why a lot of people go to the gym. They can lift weights. They still don't get bulk. They're probably still thin, but doesn't mean they're weak. Who knows someone that's really thin, but they're like really strong? Right, I know somebody, right? Tabitha's like that. She moved the fish tank in by herself. I didn't even have to do anything. So yeah, so then that's that. Who has questions so far about that? Pretty explanatory, right? So like, Yang is kind of like, I want to go spread my seed. Yin is kind of like, I want to bring my family together, right? That's why ladies like parties, right? All right.
Actually, I did have a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
So, in regard to chi, one of my instructors always say, where there's blood, there's chi.
Good.
Never got that though. I never understood that.
Yep. Where there is blood, there is chi. Where there's chi, there's also blood. So you have to understand when Chinese medicine was made, it's written in a very poetic language. But there is such a thing as chi dominant and blood dominant. Okay? So for example, I do fertility treatments. A lot of times, a lady has miscarriage because they're chi dominant, not blood dominant. Blood needs to dominate chi for the person to conceive. If a lady is a CEO and she takes 100 phone calls a day, she has to fire employees, argue with competitors, that's why, because she doesn't have a lot of yin. Yin, you need blood. If you don't sleep at night, your blood is low. People that stay up, like, I know this guy's not a night owl. It's impossible because he needs a lot of blood to supply the muscle. This is not like accurate. This is like science. If he doesn't sleep, he doesn't get good sleep, he can't bulk like that. You could try steroids, but that's a different story. But let's say if he actually did that without steroids, okay? All right, now we're finally getting to the stomach and spleen, which is the main entree. All right, who wants to read?
All right.
Okay.
The stomach. Okay, stomach and spleen, pancreas. Okay. The stomach transforms food to produce chi, postnatal energy in the body, resistance to all. Body resistance to all digestive issues such as nausea, food poisoning, raw foods, expel pathogens, immune system resistance to fatigue.
Yeah.
Can you stomach it?
Yeah. So that's right there is good. Thank you. Okay, so we talked about stomach and digestion, right? So if 10 people go order a pizza at a pizza restaurant, they all eating the same pizza. If one person got sick, 9 people are fine. Is there something wrong with the pizza?
No.
Who knows? Maybe. But you have to know that why not nobody else got sick and you got sick, right? If 10 people go to a restaurant and one person was fine, 9 people got sick, is there something wrong with the food? Yeah, there's probably something wrong with the food. But then you have to know that why didn't he got sick? He had like 4 slices. This person was fine. Everyone else got sick. What's he doing? Right? It's either yes or no, right? It's good food or bad food. You got sick or not. It depends on the person. Depends on how much you chi, how strong your stomach is, right? So if you can stomach it, for example, if someone has bad news, they start to puke, right? We all see in movies at least. I hope you didn't see somebody in real life doing that, because what? The element of trust is impacted, right? If you're trusting that this is always the case and something messed with that, the element of trust, this organ then is impacted. If you always watch bad news, the world's gonna go bad or things like that, or you always watch Fox or CNN or whatever, right? Then that'll kind of mess with your digestion a little bit, at least a little bit. Depends on how strong your stomach is, like I said. Okay? And so we all know somebody who's always hungry and then they don't gain weight. Who's that? Right, not me, okay? Anyways, there's somebody also that don't get hungry. I don't have an appetite. I don't want to eat. So this is this is a teaser. Acupuncture 102, we talk about heat or cold. If your stomach heat has a lot of heat, you want to eat. Stomach is cold, you don't want to eat. I'm hungry. Okay? So spleen is what? This one translates to chi, right? By the way, who is somebody with a lot of chi? Who is somebody in real life? Elon Musk. Because this guy could sleep for 4 hours and then he runs like 10 companies in charge of different people, right? You need a lot of chi to do that. Because average person, yeah, it's true, everybody's 24 hours and you sleep, but when he's sleeping, when he's digesting, he's able to digest things very well. He has to do that. If he can't digest things very well, there's no way that he can do that. Okay? Blood, now we talk about blood. Blood is produced by the spleen. Controls saliva. Okay, it doesn't produce saliva, it controls saliva. If you talk to somebody and they're spitting in your face and there's something wrong with the spleen, you need to come and see me. Okay. And then also keeps cells. That was a joke, guys, by the way. Okay. Didn't want to diss on anybody who actually spit in my face. So nourish digestive nutrients for the cells, right? Keeps organs from prolapsing. These are all spleen. Remember, spleen and stomach houses the chi, right? So stomach and spleen help each other. A prolapsed organ means that the chi is not strong enough to hold it up, so it moves. This also prolapse anus, prolapse vagina, different things like that too. Okay. Opens the mouth and lips. So if you get stressed out, a lot of sores growing your mouth and lips, that's the reason, because the stomach and spleen is impacted.
So how do you treat somebody with prolapsed organs? Can acupuncture help?
Mm-hmm. To fix the digestive issues. The modern fix is a detox. If someone with a prolapse issue, they have a digestive issue, they get tested, they have different issues. If you hit them with a detox, it's going to prolapse more. That's why. Because it's already weak. If it's weak, you need a supplement. If it's strong, you sedate. But now everything seems like it's just, you go to a health person, sedate. You go to another person, nourish. They don't look at you and decide. Okay. So, that also has to stop craving sugar. So spleen is the pancreas organ. Pancreas has to do with your insulin. Insulin is how well your body processes sugar and carbs into energy. Okay. So a lot of people that crave sugar because their spleen is impacted, because if you eat 10 candies, you're only able to process 1 candy to convert into sugar energy. You would have to have a lot of sugar for you to function. Because it's like a car. It's like a gas guzzler car. It's an old car. The cylinders are misfiring. That means that you have to put a lot of gas into it, right? Because you're burning up unnecessary gas. If your spleen's not good, you're not processing sugar right to convert into energy. That's why it's not converting into chi. This whole system is off. And then also, this is important, appetite. What's appetite? When you ask you, do you have an appetite? What's that mean? What do you have the appetite for? Like, what do you want to eat, right? Your body is actually very smart. The spleen knows what you want to eat because that is what's going to make you feel better. A healthy person knows what they need to eat to hit that hits the spot, because this is how nature is. The squirrels, they run around, they don't need a doctor because they smell different things. It's like, oh, this mushroom smells like something I want to eat because this is going to cure me, so they eat that. Humans have lost that ability because of different, specialists to tell you to eat this and eat that. Yeah. I'm happy there's no MDs in this group at this moment. They're going to chew me out. Appetite is also knowing what you want to do. Who knows somebody that you ask them, oh, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Right? So this is also like a spleen issue, actually. Because when you're tired and your spleen is having issues, you have a hard time knowing, what do I want to do that would make my soul feel happy today? Right? Also, appetite is, what do I need so that my body is feeling healthy today? Right? It's a Department of Transportation is what this is in a country. Because it's like your food doesn't magically show up on the Myers food rack, right? Somebody has to ship there, right? So if the spleen is not working, it's kind of like, okay, we're actually out of produce, but they keep sending me socks. It's like, no, I need more socks, man. I need produce, right? So that's the issue. And then what if, next question, somebody asks, okay, what if I like pizza? Well, what's going on with that? That can't be good for you. So that means that your body is not in a good pattern. So then now you're in this phase where it's like, okay, you know what? I think pizza would be a good fix. Right? So your body's in a vicious cycle, then you're not craving good food. That's why a lot of people that get acupuncture, they start craving good food. It's like, hey, you know what? After that, I don't feel like I want to eat that. I want that juice, that green stuff looks good now. Okay? So you're fixing the spleen. Now, after the spleen, after the stomach and spleen, we're going through the whole digestive process. Food enters the small intestine. The small intestine is heat, okay? Heat. So when you eat, you drink, right? So when the food, by the time the food gets into your stomach, hopefully it's already in small pieces, given that you chew. And then your stomach then breaks it down with different acids, so then it's a big hodgepodge of this material, right? Then that enters the small intestine. Your small intestine now has to filter out what are some good stuff that I'm going to absorb, and what are some bad stuff that I want to throw away. If your small intestine is having issues, that means that you're only absorbing the bad stuff and not the good stuff. Okay, and this is there's a lot in this slide, so let me explain. This small intestine energy is kindness. Why is that? It's an element of fire that connects to the heart. We're going to go over that next summer. You have to come in next summer for a heart and small intestine seminar, the fire element. But kindness is very warm, right? When you give someone something, makes the other person feel good, you also feel good, right? Who here has given somebody something, whether you like a gift for a kid or something? How do you feel? Who wants to share?
Good, cheerful.
You feel happy, right? Good. Fire element, nourishing the heart, is actually joy. That's the element of joy. Heart gives small intestine heat. So if you help someone, that actually helps you digest food better, because that's the right thing, the good thing to do. The opposite is so true. If you hurt somebody, your small intestine slows down. Okay? Law of compensation is that, right? You always get what you give. In fact, if you give more than you get more than you give. That's the universal law. And small intestine gets heat from the heart, okay? So then we talk about now this, right? So then stomach and spleen has to do with trust. This one has to do with clear thinking. Why is that? Who here knows somebody, you tell them a paragraph or story, But their takeaway is not what you want them to take away from that. Like I tell you this whole story about morality, but what you took away was, oh, this person tripped and fall in the end. It's like, then your question back at me is like, oh, so how did he trip and fall? I said, no, that wasn't the point of the story. That wasn't it. And it was supposed to be like, the other part, you didn't hear it. Same thing here. So there's also people that, oh, I can drink water and gain weight because your body's not necessarily absorbing the correct thing. Okay? So small intestine gets hot, able to make this hodgepodge water go to the large intestine so that you don't get constipation. The small intestine is cold. What happens is that you get inconsistent stools. And then it moves into the large intestine. So small intestine gets hot, disperses with qi to make the water liquid moisten the large intestine. And then your body's very sustainable. Large intestine evaporates it one more time up into the lung. So you don't have a dry cough. This is why when you have a diarrhea or constipation, when you get sick, it also accompanies dry cough. And when the lung is nourished, you will have saliva. If you have dry mouth, most likely you have constipation. That's where it comes from. That's the connection. You don't need to see a dry mouth doctor and then also see a constipation person. These two people need to share case studies and find out, hey, you know what? There's a link. Patient A, B, and C both have constipation and also have dry mouth. Yeah, something's going on here, right? But they're not talking to each other right now. That's the thing. So when your large intestine gets nourished from small intestine, you will have good skin, good body here, and you will start having mucus. And you're able to let go. Who knows someone that can't let go? Right? Hey, sometimes I can't let something go. But then you just have to check yourself, right? The same thing of letting go is same thing as you let that shit go. Right? Yeah, you let the poop go so that you can let your mind go. If your mind can't let go, you also have that too. Modern science confirmed that with a fancy study of stomach bacteria. If you have loose stools, you also have depression. You have indigestion, you also have anxiety because the stomach bacteria somehow matches the mind bacteria. But this was discovered by the Chinese 5,000 years ago, right? Conveniently. So you have, and then also lung is what? You breathe, right? Who knows someone that can't let somebody in? A very private person. This is that too, is that because you can't let go, whether it's something someone did to you, someone said something to you, right? And now you have a wall, you don't let anyone in. Okay. Oh, and then, you can read. So that when patients come in for anxiety and they take all these drugs, say, hey, you know what? The root cause is a digestive issue, actually. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
I just had a quick question about the Wei Qi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's related to the lung.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
The Wei Qi, so the thing about Chinese medicine, acupuncture, is that it's such an old study. There is a bunch of scholars, right, and they contradict each other. It doesn't always match, okay? A lot of people say the Wei Qi is from the stomach. It is, but because its stomach went to small intestine and then went to lung and then it's the Wei Qi.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, but it stems from the stomach and.
Because I always thought, focus on your Dantian and make your Wei Qi stronger. Okay.
By the way, Dantian is small intestine. Yeah.
Okay.
Dantian is small intestine, And also, that's where the belly button is. So ladies that wants to look pretty and they show their small intestine, if there's cold air get in there, directly cools down the small intestine. Yeah. Okay, so how are we doing on time? All right, 2 o'clock. Okay, we got to kind of wrap this up, but I'm going to kind of show you a teaser. Okay, can I do that? Okay, a lot of TV shows now do that with Netflix. I know what's going on. Okay, I don't really watch that, but I'm going to give you a little teaser about my future talks. Okay, so now we're going to talk about everything. Okay, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to do liver. Starts with the liver. Okay. Why do I want to get people off the medication? Because in order for your body to use the medication, it has to go through your liver first. Your liver has to use enzymes to activate the medication. Overuse of medication, doesn't matter what medication it is, it harms the liver, period. Okay?
Amen.
If your liver is not well, thank you. If your liver is not well, you wake up at 1 to 3 a.m. in the morning. And if you keep doing that, it's going to have issues to supply blood to the heart. What happens is that this person becomes unhappy. And unhappiness is actually the root cause of sickness. But let's suppose that you have the liver. You have a liver, you take medications, but hey, this person is always doing volunteer work, always helping out. Hey, you know what? At least you're getting the heart chi from somewhere else. But just every day, people that do clerical work and different things, it's hard. Okay? I know, I got to wrap it up. So, you have the fire now here. And when you have heat here, you can start having warmth in your hands. And heat here, with the help of the lung, moves the heat down the small intestine. Now, the heat can be into your feet. Okay, so if you have cold hands and feet, you already know your heart and small intestines having issues. But if you go to the doctor and you say you have cold feet, the doctor will be like, my wife sees colder. What's your point? Next question. Okay. And then the small intestine heats up the large intestine so that it nourishes the lung. When you have the lung being healthy, it pushes the heat down. So this is like the precipitation cycle, where the sun makes the pond evaporate and it comes back to as rain. This is the internal. This is the dantian too, by the way. Okay, the second one. And then you have a hot small intestine that makes the bladder go up, blow out. So this is why that you can hold your pee. Because if your small intestine is cold, this shrinks. This is shrivered. So if you have a little bit of pee accumulates, a little pee accumulates. That's why people have frequent urination, because it starts with a cold small intestine. When you go to a restaurant, what do they serve you first? A jug of ice water right before you even eat. Right? That's to cool down your small intestine. I don't know why they do that. To sell refrigerators, I guess. Because your body is very efficient, the wasted liquid from the small intestine goes to the bladder. It doesn't just pee out. Your bladder heats it up one more time. Now it nourishes your kidneys. This process makes sure that you don't pee out. This process makes sure that your kidney is functional, and also you don't have your pee isn't very yellow. Okay. And then it gets more interesting. Okay, the heart, every time you pump, it moves the gallbladder. And then what the gallbladder do is it excretes the gallbladder juice to help balance and control your stomach, so you don't get nauseous. If you have a lot of fear, let's say, right, and then the gallbladder is not following up with the pump of juice, then what happens is that you get super anxious because your stomach can't handle it. Okay, now we get more complicated. So this is how everything has to do with each other. Now you know that acupuncture is more about relationship, how things flow. Okay, because if you have one thing wrong, everything else tends to be like a domino. And that's different organs connecting to different things. So a lot of patients that come in have blurry vision. It's a liver issue. Losing hair is a kidney issue. Your lips have cold sores. That's a stomach issue. Okay? That's the water cycle. That's how body is.
What was blurred vision?
Liver.
Liver.
Okay, so then we look at your tongue when you first come in. By the way, this is not a picture of me, just in case you're wondering. All right, all right, so that's the tongue. Okay, different parts of the tongue is a reverse image of your torso. We look at the markings in the tongue to determine what's going on with your body. Different tongues here we see in the clinic. That's a nicer version, but in real life it kind of looks like that. So it's really messy. Sure, we're going to decipher what is good. What's going on? That's all the tongues that we see here. So in the end, by the end of the treatments, your tongue should look like that. So if you're interested, what we could do is that we could set you up an initial exam, and then you can get a tongue chart looked at. Okay? We really don't have time to go over this. Otherwise, Tabitha's going to be mad at me. Different hours of the day has to do with different channels. Okay? So to know this, you have to come to my next class and you have to pay $15, $20. Okay? Inflation. Access versus deficient. Hey, this is a concept that's also next class. Is that if you have too much water, that's not good, right? You can't grow anything there, mosquitoes. Not enough water, you get this, right? Just enough water. So there's no such thing as water is good or bad. You get a lot of water, you lose like that. Just enough water. You get too much water, okay, that's also nice, right? Depends on what you want, okay?
How do you know when the body has too much or not enough?
Good question. This, what is that?
Too much.
Yeah, but that is also shingles in the body. Shingles are different things that, because when the water is too much, it's not getting absorbed by the stomach and spleen into the bladder to excrete the toxins. It's like the water is not the... Okay, let's back up a minute. Okay, wood element is liver. Earth element is stomach and spleen. Water is the kidney and bladder. It has to do with your water system. We all know that, okay? If there's not enough wood to control the earth, then you lose your earth. You lose your surface. That's what's going on. And then this flood gets flooded everywhere. So that's imagery. The fastest learner of this is actually a geologist or someone that's in nature or a farmer. They understand this. Not a Harvard person, because they have never touched nature. They don't know as much, okay? Or they know too much, which is then unrelated. Because you're here, we're going to send you this chart, what season you should eat what. This is a very general idea. Everything is good here except for kale. Take that out. Okay, that's a bad vegetable. Cows have 5 stomachs. If you eat them, feed them kale, the stomach shreds. Yes.
So why is kale bad? What happens?
It shreds your stomach.
Oh.
Very hard to digest, and it gives you a lot of heat.
I heard that if you eat kale, it helps cleanse out some of the stuff, and that's why they
Dr. on YouTube mentions that kale is helps feed your your gut bugs. Is that true?
I wouldn't eat kale myself, but at the end of the day, yeah, don't eat kale.
Ever?
Not good. It's just not good.
Wow.
It's hard to digest. And this is also, right, different seasons. Also, we can, next seminar we'll go through different tastes, nourish different organs, right? bitter for the heart, sweet for the earth, right? Pungent is metal, okay? Water is salty, wood is sour. Okay?
Just had a quick comment on
Yeah.
that. So then, so basically, if something's hard for the stomach to digest, it's gonna throw things off balance.
Correct. Give you a example. Okay, so let's say if you have earth, the first way to determine if the earth is deficient or excess. Okay, hot or cold. Let's say if your earth is excess, you need to eat something that's sour because it's wood. Wood controls earth. If your stomach is weak, you don't eat sour because that's going to attack it too much. You eat a little bit of things that are a little sweet. Okay. So same thing here too is that if you have heart palpitations, boom, 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 a lot of fire. So maybe actually a little bit salty, right? Or you can eat a little bit sweet or spicy. People with a lot of heart, somebody that's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to like charge into the enemy. I'm like, they're always mad. Or that kind of person that loves spicy. That's why. Because you eat spicy, it drains the fire. Okay? Okay, what are good practices? So be on time. All right, eat on time. Because what this does is that remembers it trains trust actually. Okay? And consistency actually helps you heal better. Mistakes. A lot of patients, they come in with a whole list of supplements. What that does is that they are over-nourishing themselves. If you don't eliminate everything you eat within 24 hours, what's good becomes poison and toxin. If you drink cold food or drinks, we already know it cold and makes the small intestine cold and you won't digest. And then intermittent fasting, okay, so for those that only eat one meal a day, a really large meal, and don't eat this is not good. Okay, so don't do that. Try to eat small portions and eat on time. So I want to acknowledge my girlfriend Olivia for filming, Tabitha for putting the event together.